Good evening. Today's episode is brought to you by note taking, immersing yourself into the work that you do. If I recall correctly, I brought up the idea of note taking and mind mapping in an earlier episode. The nature of these two actions are for the sake of organized thoughts, laid out in a numbered order, outline, or in headlines. So, what does this have to do with productivity and time management? While I haven't incorporated any note taking strategies like Zekokastan, it is worth learning more about these ideas. I keep it simple. Open a new Word document and start writing. If more notes are to come my way, I create a folder for these notes in a place I usually visit. I feel closer to the source of information when I'm used to opening the same folder every day. So, I'll be talking about why notes carry purpose in your favorite computer folder. Read or unread, you explore different opportunities as to how this piece of information reflects the way you think. Writing without the thought of errors or typos allows a style of talk right as you're speaking to the reader. What mind mapping is used for? Well, laying out topics, notes related to those topics, discussions or stories you've read about. And I'll also be sharing my experience in note taking. All right, let's begin. Okay, so for that note taking strategy, Zettelkasten, that means in German is Slipbox or card index, and it's a German style way of note taking. This was introduced to me by a friend who was exploring productivity and note taking, and he was finding out ways in getting his book started. So there's also a book on this as well. I'll look into this a little later, possibly for tomorrow's episode. But for right now, I wanted to cover organization, note taking, and especially my experience in doing this when I get into tasks that require so much more effort and at the same time require me to get right back into it as if I had started back into the routine, not just fresh, but with a continuation of what I've done before. So why notes carry a purpose in your favorite computer folder? Well, when you have everything in one folder, you see what's going on. You have this understanding that, well, especially if you're writing, you have 2008, 2009, 2020. You have all the months laid out, and on the side, and this is talking to users who use Windows 10. That if you see on the side of your Explorer window, you'll have other folders, tasks down as well. Now you can pin these folders, and if you ever need to say if maybe July 2020 was a popular month for you for all the work that you're trying to get into, you can go right back into that folder and you can pin that so that you have something to go back onto. Now, I personally always go on this folder that I call progress journal. This progress journal shows for all the work that I've done in terms of projects, schoolwork, reflections. And I always go back to that folder because it's like second nature. I don't have anything on the desktop, which is from the moment you log into your computer, you see all those icons on the left hand side. I like to keep things nice, clean, and organized. You can also back up some of these files as well. I won't be going into that, but just a heads up. So even though you create these notes and you might be that person that doesn't want to go back to your notes because, well, I've written all of this down. Maybe I feel like I don't need to check my notes up again. But the idea, the thought of just writing and going through that thought process of understanding, well, if this is needed if the problem needs this solution, I have to go through these series of steps. So I have to start from beginning to end, and I have to walk my way through, say, my experience in trying to solve this problem. In the middle shows my progress. And so when I'm writing, I'm talking about the progress that I'm making, that the resources that I've had to look up, say, now going back down to my experience in note taking. Let's say I'm handling a programming problem and I'm trying to, say, dissect the problem. I want to make sure that my basics are intact. I want to not, say, feel too overconfident and trying to go after that problem without any knowledge in mind, no experience or anything at all. I'd like to go off of the resources. That way I can understand, well, I know that I'm dealing with this, the basics, such as, and this isn't programming. I know I'm dealing with these numbers, and then I have these characters, and then these strings, and then functions. These are the basics of programming. So I want to make sure that my basics are in play. And now I have to go on to structures, and the structures come with another field of topics that I need to go into. So I need to make sure that I'm good in those fields as well. And when you have these resources while you're note taking, and this is in terms of problem solving. When you have these resources in play, you can explore back into those fields of topic, say the basics and the data structures, and you would be able to understand, well, if I try to implement it this way, then this is how it would come out. This is how this is a scenario that I would create for this problem. This would be my solution. And so just writing, you still have to think what you're about to say. Don't think about it as too much in terms of the thought of the errors and the typos. Eventually, when you start writing more and more often, you get used to it and you don't become as conscious about this as much. But this is good to keep in mind, and one of the main reasons why these notes carry a purpose. Now, going over to mind mapping. Mind mapping was something that I used to use. I believe I had used a program called XMind. And through this program, I was able to lay out topics. So it could be on business, programming, books, travel. And you have these topics. This is you. Picture that my head is the main bubble, and you click in the main bubble, and then you have these topics, and you click into these topics, say books. You go into books, and then you find these authors, and you have titles and genres and notes. You may even have reviews as well, discussions, stories, you name it. But when you're clicking into these bubbles, you find more out of that topic, that link. Now you could also implement this in a Word document as well. Of course, you could also have this on a website as well too, on a blog. So if you click on one link, it brings you to one page, and one page brings you to the other page. Now this may seem a lot of work, but you can do that for a website. You can also, now going back to the Word document, you can click a link, and it can bring you to a folder, and that folder will have all the sources of information, say all the Word documents and the notes and the diagrams that you have that regard to that topic. I don't know the shortcut at this time, but I know that this is a possibility, and I have used this before. Now, well, that's just about it for today. Until next time, I would like to focus more on note-taking. This is a big topic, and especially Zettelkasten is another topic that I'd like to cover as well. Until next time.